We're gonna be going over the very basic motorcycle gear that you're gonna need because we're gonna be starting in a neighborhood. We're gonna practice in a neighborhood because that's where you're at. Let's just say I pulled my bike out onto the street. You can do most of the stuff in your driveway if you have a driveway, but I'm out in the street and I wanna tell you guys what the minimum gear you need when you start riding in your neighborhood. You just bought the bike, maybe you're practicing for the MSF, you're getting ready. Either way, you're gonna get your permit, hopefully, so you can actually start doing this stuff, but you're maybe practicing for the endorsement test. Let's say you have your permit. So we have gear, okay? So minimum to practice is a long sleeve t-shirt, okay, that actually covers everything, and then long pants. I'm wearing khaki pants, you can wear jeans, whatever it is. I get it, it's hot today for me, so this kind of sucks, but it is what it is. And I want you to wear some boots, okay? So it could be work boots, it could be closed-toed shoes really at the end of the day. I like something that's above the ankle, just in case I put my foot down, it twists a little bit, it's gonna hopefully keep everything intact. So maybe I have a minor sprain versus a full tear. It can happen. And the reason why I want you to wear at least this is because we're gonna be doing slow speed stuff, and the biggest concern that we have with slow speed is impact, so we don't have any impact protection, but it's gonna hopefully solve some of the abrasion issues. Since we're not going 50 miles an hour, we're going maybe 15 to 20 at max here in the neighborhood. We're gonna possibly, if we do fall down, we're gonna have some abrasions and some impacts, but hopefully it's not gonna be that big because we're not going so fast. But still, the impacts that I care about are to the head and to the hands, because at the end of the day, you need your brain, and you need your face, and then you need your hands if you're gonna be working, because remember, this could be just a hobby that you wanna do. So the other things that I highly recommend is a full face helmet, okay? So the reason why I want that is because I want that chin bar. So if I do fall forward or fall to the side, hit my jaw, I don't wanna break my jaw, break my teeth, mess up my airway. I'm thinking bigger terms here, but full face helmet, okay? And then some motorcycle gloves or mechanics gloves if that's all you have. So Home Depot gloves or whatever it is, but I'm wearing motorcycle gloves and a full face helmet. So at the end of the day, if you have all these clothes, you're good to go until you need to have a helmet. So I highly recommend getting yourself a beginner helmet. They're about $200, $250. At least it's a full face. It'll last you 5 years or until you feel like upgrading. Get yourself a full face helmet. If your friend has one that he'll let you borrow, even better. If your friend has some motorcycle gloves that fit you, even better. But the big thing here is that when you do fall down, if you do, that you're gonna be putting your hands out, or you're gonna be possibly hitting your head. So when you put your hands out with motorcycle gloves, if you notice it has a little bit of plastic here, so impact protection at least on your hands, so you don't break your hands because you might need to work. And then your head and brain will be protected by this. You might get some bumps and bruises if you fall down, hit your elbow on the ground because there's no impact protection like in motorcycle gear, maybe a little bit of shoulder. So the best thing you can do is if you start to feel like you're gonna fall down, roll. Okay, just roll. Like you're standing still and you start to lean over, oh crap. Try your best to roll away from it. Just keep rolling. Hopefully you can protect your head with that helmet. So once again, that is gonna be the minimum gear that you're gonna need to start here. Once we get out of the neighborhood onto actual roads, I really want you to now make that transition to getting full gear, okay? So here in the neighborhood, here practicing this first part, perfectly fine. When you're out at the MSF, you're in a parking lot, closed course, no traffic or anything like that. So this is what they recommend. If you wear full gear, even better. But this right here is what we're gonna be practicing out here on this street, okay? So let's go ahead and jump into that. All right, so what we're gonna be doing is going over some of the motorcycle controls just to get us started. It's not gonna be everything. It's just to get the bike moving forward, backwards with your feet, and then turning and how to, basically how to stop. So that's basically what we're doing here. So that's all we need to know to get started. And then before we get into the neighborhood stuff, before we get into the actual road, we're gonna learn all the different controls. So what you have typically is primary and secondary controls. Primary is gonna be the go, stop, turn. Secondary is gonna be how to turn on the bike, how to turn off the bike, turn signals, and a few other things. So the main things, the primary things, is going to be how to stop, go, and turn. So that's what we're gonna learn right now, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and put my helmet on. So if you don't know how to do that, once again, start practicing. Everything's practice. So you're gonna see, you're gonna have the straps right here. Then all you do is pull them to the sides and you slide it on. And the reason why I like to do that is because whenever I get on the motorcycle, I want to be protected. You never know. You might lose balance getting on and off the bike, and then you hit your head. You don't want a concussion. So I don't want to do that. I'm also like to practice how I play So I'm going to put on some motorcycle gloves. So now we're going to be fully protected before we even start this whole process. All right, so what we have here is, well, first of all, if I have my rock form mount, that's great. I'll go ahead and take that and put my phone away. That way we don't need to have that right now, because that is not a primary control. If you notice right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to swing my leg over, and I'm just going to sit on the bike. It's still on the side stand. I'm not messing with that right now. Okay, so what we have right now is our throttle. It's going to be on the right-hand side where your right hand is. So you're going to have your throttle, and you're going to be able to turn it. Now, you want to turn it all the way. Bike's off, and then you let go, and it snaps back. That's extremely important, because if it gets stuck halfway, you might need to fix that throttle, because you don't want to be riding and trying to roll off the throttle, and then it gets stuck, and now you're going. Okay. Next thing, we have our front brake right here. So let's go ahead and get off the bike just so I could show you. The front brake is on the right hand right here. And if you notice, it doesn't go all the way. You're going to feel some resistance. That's very important, because what this front brake is doing is stopping the front tire. And there's their brakes, and there's your calipers right there. So you're going to want to be able to understand that, and so you're going to grab it and squeeze it. Let's go ahead and go to the other side. I'm already starting to sweat like a pig here. The left-hand side of your primary controls, okay, is another hand grip, okay? This one does not move. The throttle moves. This one does not, okay? So that's very important. If it's slipping and sliding everywhere, you're probably going to need to get a new grip. These things can be replaced too. Now, this other lever on this side, on the left-hand side, if you notice, it goes all the way down. Okay, this is called the clutch lever. This is going to be the thing that you need to know to be able to shift into first, into neutral, second, third, fourth, and fifth, and sixth if you have a sixth gear. This is your clutch lever. Now, what this does is it disengages the engine, basically, in the transmission. There's a lot of fancy stuff inside. You don't really need to know it too much. Is that it does that so that when you do your shifting with this left shift knob right here, down here on your left foot, you're able to go into first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and go between everything, okay? So once again, on the left side, you have a shift lever. Now, the shift lever is on your left foot. What's on the right side, everybody? Right side is your rear brake lever. So now this one you press down, and it's going to activate the rear brakes over here, okay? So you have your front brake lever, your rear brake lever, you have your clutch lever, and you have your throttle. Okay, so let's go ahead and sit on the bike, and let's pretend real quick. Okay, I'm not going to get off the side stand. So I got my front brake lever right here. I can squeeze it. I got my throttle right here. I have my clutch lever right here. I can squeeze all the way. My shift lever, I go underneath with my foot, or I press down to go down gears. To go up gears, I go up. Okay, up is up, down is down. We'll talk more about that later. And then the rear brake, it's pressed down gently, okay, to apply that rear brake. Now, what's the other primary control that a lot of people don't talk about? I think the other primary control is your handlebars, okay, very important. It's very primary to turning. So you need to be able to turn left, you need to be able to turn right, you counter steer. We'll talk more about that when we get into those chapters. But it's very important to be able to do that. So we have our throttle, front brake, handlebars. We have our clutch lever. We have our shift lever up, down. We have our rear brake pedal down. Those are the primary controls. All right, so I'm trying to get you through a lot of the main things that we absolutely need right now because we want to start riding, right? All right, so the secondary controls, there's a lot of them. You have turn signals, horn, high beams, all this stuff. We're not going to worry about that right now. We're only going to worry about how to start the bike up. So that's what we're going to do right now. So a secondary control is where your key goes, okay? Your key tends to go, at least on this Honda Rebel 500, goes on the side. Sometimes they're like right here, and it's just like a car. Okay, you turn it, it turns on the bike battery. Okay, it turns on the bike battery. You notice how the engine didn't start? It turns on the bike battery. We have an engine start and kill switch over here. Here's the engine turn on switch, kill switch, and here's the start switch. Those are the only other things that we're going to worry about right now. So where the key goes, okay, the battery's on. Engine kill switch, it goes up, and you'll see a lot of orange on the kill switch. So the orange right here means I killed the engine, so there's no way it will start. So this disconnects the engine to the battery. Now, once you turn it on, it connects the engine to the battery. Think of it as like a little breaker. Okay, connects, disconnects, connects, disconnects. So no matter what, if it's disconnected, you're not gonna be able to turn on the bike. Now, we have the engine start electric start right here, now that I have this on, it will turn on. So now the bike is on. So that's very important to know before we start riding, right? So once again, if that electric this kill switch turns off and disconnects things, what happens if I push it? It will disconnect it, okay? And once again, it won't start. So if you're riding and you come to a stop and you don't want to reach down for the key and whatnot, you just boop, turn that off. The battery is still on. So at some point, you're going to have to turn off the battery so you don't drain the battery. So like I said, I'm just sitting here. I'm going to turn on the battery. The engine kill switch is on. So I'm going to turn the engine kill switch off. It's kind of a conundrum there. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. Now, let's say you have a newer bike, okay? Let's say you have a newer bike and you're doing everything I just did. Why isn't it turning on? More than likely, you're in first gear, okay? So I just pulled in the clutch like we talked about, the primary controls. I pushed down on the shift lever to go into first because I was in neutral. If you didn't notice up here, it had a big green N here and it said gear 1 or it said gear N. That was neutral. So now I'm in first gear. I'm going to turn that so the engine is good. And I'm pretty comfortable right now. It's kind of scary though. And it won't turn on. Sometimes the newer bikes have a natural kill switch if you have it in first gear and you start or you turn on the bike engine. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes it won't turn on, even in neutral, if you have your side stand down. That's going to be another secondary control because sometimes it has electronics in it. So to me, it's a control. So your side stand is down. First gear or side stand, that's why it's not turning on. So don't freak out too much. So let's go ahead and just like pushing it down into first gear, I'm going to pull in the clutch. I'm going to get underneath it and do a half click up until it's in neutral. And there it is, it's in neutral. And now it will start. So let's go ahead and jump into the startup procedure. So you just saw like a very basic overview of it. So what I like to do is that I come up to the motorcycle and I'm like, I'm about to, I don't have my keys in the motorcycle yet. I'm coming up to the motorcycle. I'm like, hey, I want to start riding. I got, full gear. I got gloves. I got jackets, pants, gloves, and boots and all that stuff. And I'm ready to go. Okay, so here's the startup procedure. I'm going to go ahead and put the key in. I'm going to go ahead and turn it. And I see it kind of booting up a little bit. Hey, I'm in neutral. That's great. Let's pretend I'm not. Let's pretend I'm in first gear. Sometimes you have to move the bike a little bit back and forth for you to reach that gear. So I'm in first gear. And cool, I'm about to ride. This is the first time we're kind of going out there. I'm going to do a quick walkthrough. It's like, oh, okay, no nails. I don't see any like silver in the black tire. That's how I look for nails. Okay, everything looks good. No oils all over the ground. Everything looks good. All right, cool. I'm in first gear. I'm going to turn the bike. Oh, it's not working. Okay, cool. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to swing my leg over. I'm going to lift the bike up. So now I'm flat foot on both sides. If you can't flat foot on both sides, you can kind of do one foot on one side and just balance the bike. It's a bike. It will want to balance. I'm in first gear. I'm going to pull in the clutch. I'm going to get my left foot underneath. Do a half click. Hey, look at that. I'm in neutral. Very cool. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to swing the side stand up. And if you notice, there's like this little knob. On a lot of side stands, they have this little knob right here, and you can get your foot underneath it or on the side of it and fling it back. And same thing, there's the knob right there, so you can get your foot and do that. So you could do this and do that. Okay, so side stand is now up. Now what do I want to do? I'm in neutral. I'm ready to go. We're not going yet, but I'm ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and put both hands on the handlebars. I'm going to pull in the clutch just because if it, for some reason, it's in first gear, it could take off if it's an older bike. That's an extra safety feature. I always pull in the clutch. Start it up. We're good to go. I'm going to slowly release the clutch with both hands on the handlebars. Nothing happens. Very good. Now I can sit here and almost do nothing. I'm sweating. All right. Now what do we do if we want to, like we finish our day or we're just practicing this, because this is an exercise that you want to practice. Now what I'm going to do is do the engine shut off. Okay, the battery's still on. I'm going to turn the key off so the battery is off. I'm going to go ahead and put the side stand down, set it on its side stand. It's pretty locked in. I'm going to swing my leg over and we're good to go. Okay, so that is the startup procedure. So we went over, minimum gear, I'm sweating. Primary controls, secondary controls, startup. Now that all that's left is for us to practice going. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, so what we're gonna be doing right now is the friction zone. This is gonna be what's needed to get going from a stop. Okay, and you're also going to be doing that a lot when it comes to slow speed maneuvers. So this is a very important skill. We're going to be using a lot of that left lever on the left hand, which is the clutch lever, and mixing a little bit of throttle at some point. But right now, there's enough engine power in first gear typically to get you kind of moving. So that's what we're going to practice. And then we're going to go up and down the street a little bit more to practice that even more. So once again, startup procedure. Go ahead and turn it on. Swing the leg over. Side stand up. I'm in neutral, so even better. So we're going to go ahead and put the engine shut off switch to, the off. Double negative means it's on. And then we're going to start up the bike. Okay, we're in neutral though. It's not going to go anywhere. And if you notice, it kind of moves if you use your feet. So you can paddle walk if you want, and we're going to do a little bit of paddle walking. And another thing is that if it's in neutral, it won't go anywhere even if you give it throttle. That's kind of a good safety thing. So if you kind of want to, help yourself out when it comes to stopping, you pull in the clutch, which is basically making your bike neutral, and you're accidentally giving it a throttle, oh crap, you can start applying the brakes. So when people rev bomb and they're in like second or third gear, they pull in their clutch and give it a rev bomb. You can do that in neutral, but neighbors might hate you. All right, so we're in neutral. We have to get into first gear to be able to utilize the engine to move us forward. So how do we get into first gear? Once again, both hands on the handlebars. My feet are here. I'm going to pull in the clutch lever right here, and I'm going to press down once on the bike, okay, on the shift lever. Now, this is where it can get scary. So quick tip right here, if you accidentally let go of the clutch lever while you're in first gear and not giving it that friction zone, this is what happens. It's going to stall. But the cool thing is that since it's in gear, if you notice when I was in neutral, I was able to move it back and forth. In gear, it's stuck. It doesn't want to go anywhere. So even if you stall, you're not going to be ripping down the street, okay? It's going to do that, and it might be scary if you have the handlebars turned and you do that. It might jostle you, might fall down, and that's why we have a helmet, gloves, and at least basic gear. So how do we solve this problem now that we stalled? We're in first gear. What do? We pull in the clutch lever. We push the electric start. Simple. Simple as that. Okay, but we're in first gear. How do we get into friction zone? That's the term used, but it's basically you're putting the clutch lever about halfway out. About, think of it as 5, okay? So this is 0. 5 is all the way out, okay? So about halfway is about 2 to 3 to 4. Make sense? Okay. So about 1, nothing's gonna happen. About 2, hey, the bike's starting to move a little bit. It's not going crazy. 3, a little bit more. 4, it's starting to take off, okay? So when it comes to that, friction zone is both hands on the handlebars, no throttle yet, no throttle. Just get out to 2 or 3, and you start moving. Now squeeze it back in, and it'll shut off the power. You see how my legs are? Pay attention to my legs. I'm gonna go ahead and put my legs back here into the front, and I'm gonna go ahead and slowly release it to about 3. And you see my legs, see my legs, see my legs, see my legs? I'm just holding it, and about here I stop. I pull in the clutch, and I just use my legs to bring me back. So about 3, stop, bring me back. And one thing now, if you do that a couple times, I want you to do it, let's say 10 times, count them out. I want you to get good at this. So let's say I do 10 times. Now I want you to do at least 5 times, adding in the brake. So when we come to a stop up here, squeeze both. Squeeze the front brake and squeeze the clutch. Release the front brake, bring yourself back, friction zone, friction zone, friction zone, friction zone, and about here, both. Front brake and the clutch. Do that about 5 times, because now we're practicing friction zone and squeezing both in an emergency to stop, okay? And when I say squeeze, let's go ahead and shut this off. When I say squeeze, I mean squeeze, not slam the front brakes, okay? So I'm gonna put this left hand here to show you, because it's gonna hard to do that. When I say squeeze, I don't mean smack and slam. I mean, you grab a little bit to get that tension out. You see how there's a little bit of play? Get that play out, and then gently squeeze. That's all it takes. And then when it comes to higher speed stuff, you gently squeeze, and you gently squeeze, you gently squeeze, and you should come to a stop. You don't need to slam it all the way back here because that's almost impossible unless you have squishy brakes. You should be able to only squeeze it like that much, okay? So we're gonna practice more of that, but the goal here is to now get to the other side of the road, and I am sweating. It's hot. That's fine. So that's another thing, is that if you start getting too hot, take a break, drink some water, because if you're not all there because you're getting dehydrated, you're going to start making mistakes. You want to be in a good position. So take some breaks here and there. I have water. I'm going to drink some water, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to do some stuff in the road, okay? All right, everybody, in this chapter, we're going to be actually riding up and down the street. So we're not exiting into the actual neighborhood. We're going to start off here. We're just going to go up and down. So first off, there's going to be 3 parts to it, okay? So the 3 parts are going to be paddle walking. So we're going to be using our feet to do that. And so since we're going to be paddle walking the very beginning, the main goal here is to finding that balance while we're moving and using friction zone and throttle control. So we're going to give it a little bit. Okay, we're not going to shift into second gear. Let's stay into first gear. So don't worry about shifting yet. When we're going to worry about shifting when we go out into the neighborhood itself, so we have more room to play with. All right, so the startup procedure. Here we go. We're going to swing our leg over. New day, different shirt. So you can wear something like this. It's a jersey shirt. So I got this from Voss. You know, it's a little dirt bike jersey. It's still not going to help you when it comes to impacts, but it's definitely better than nothing when you don't have a jacket. And before I actually even start this up, let's go ahead and go over some of the other stuff. We're not using any cones, okay? So we don't need to put cones here. We're utilizing the driveways or mailboxes or cars, whatever you want to do, as our stopping points. So I'm going to be using this driveway as my turnaround point, okay? And then I'm going to use the driveway or the mailbox before that car to do my turnaround point. So I'll show you what I mean by that. We're going to go up here, do a U-turn. We're going to keep going to that mailbox right there, and that's going to be where I stop. And then I'm going to take off again to that mailbox and then stop and then do a U-turn and boom, 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 boom. We're going to keep doing that in a left-handed fashion until I'm comfortable with paddle walking, and then we're going to lift our feet up. So right here, I'm already at this driveway, so I'm going to have to do a U-turn right here. So we're going to paddle walk it and everything. So once again, you're going to go ahead and put it into first gear, and we're going to go ahead and give it some friction zone. Okay, we're going to pretend this is where I stop too, because this is where I'm going to be stopping. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the brakes. You see how I'm walking with my feet. Now we're going to do the U-turn. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit different. Remember the primary control of the handlebars? This is why I think it's a primary control. So we're going to turn the handlebars all the way to the left. I'm holding in the clutch, because if I don't, I'm going to hold on here. It's going to stall like that, and that's pretty scary. So once again, if that happens to you, pull in the clutch, push the electric start. All right, so handlebars turned all the way. And now I'm going to do the friction zone throttle control like I was going back and forth, but I'm going to do that when I'm doing a left-handed all the way turn. And I'm going to look really far left. So I'm almost putting my chin bar on my shoulder, and I'm using my eyeballs to now extend even further back to look and see if there's traffic or anything like that. And that's going to help you with your arm movement and some balance. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just paddle walk it to start. So a little bit of friction zone, a little bit of throttle, double checking there's no traffic. And all we're doing is this to turn around. Okay, I'm going to get to the complete opposite side to start, because, you know, I'm practicing this stuff and don't need to be in the road itself. I'm going to straighten up the handlebars, pull in the clutch, squeeze the front brake. Okay, now we're here. The goal now is to get to the next driveway. So friction zone throttle control, give it a little bit of throttle, not much. And all we're doing is this. So I want you to get used to feeling the bike. Now, if it gets a little bit too fast, you're like, oh crap, I can't do that. You know, paddle walking too much, you can kind of do this. All right, we're coming up to this driveway. Squeezing the front brakes, squeezing the clutch and squeezing the front brake to stop. And keep my feet down. And if your bike is too tall for you and you can't flat foot both sides, you could just put one foot up. Let's do this side so the camera can see it. My left foot is on the peg and my right foot is kind of balancing the bike at its balance point. All right, so now that we're at this first driveway, we're gonna go to the next driveway. So a little bit of friction zone, a little bit of throttle, getting some feel for that. Kind of just doing this with my feet. The goal is to keep our head up, looking where we want to go. We're getting close to the driveway, so I'm going to pull in the clutch, get ready for that front brake, and here we are. All right, so I'm gonna double check, make sure there's no traffic. Now, once again, we're gonna turn the handlebars to the left. I'm looking. Nobody coming this way, okay? So I'm gonna turn my head and give it some friction zone, throttle control, and I'm looking where I want to go, which is down the street. Give it a little bit of throttle because I started slowing down. Not too much, keep it in friction zone. I'm gonna move to the side, and here we go. So I'm gonna use the mailbox now because the driveway's too close. So mailbox, a little bit of friction zone, a little bit of throttle control. There we are. There we are. Okay, very good. Then we're gonna stop with the brakes and the clutch. So what we're practicing is braking where we wanna stop, because when you take your DMV test, you have to stop at the cone or in the box or whatever it is. So we're practicing where our nose of your motorcycle is, where a Q cone is, basically. We're not in a parking lot to use cones yet, so we're in the street. I want you to just practice. Now we're getting up to here, okay. Oh, I'm getting a little bored. You know, maybe I've done this 6, 7 times. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try practicing putting my feet up. Okay, that feels good actually. But now I'm gonna try to stop. All right, I'm not so comfortable stopping with my feet up. Same process. Okay, so if you do that about, you know, until you're bored, really, until you're like naturally wanting to put your feet up, or you've done it like 10 times, you're like, okay, next step. All right, so next step. Let's say you're, like I said, you're bored, you wanna put your feet up, it feels natural, whatever. Second part of this exercise, okay, we did the first part, now we're gonna move on to the second, we're gonna progress, is let's try to put our feet up. Not shift gears, nothing. Just put our feet up, okay? Still stop at every single driveway or mailbox, whatever it is you decide. And when it comes to the U-turn, how about instead of both feet up, because it's kind of scary, if you're doing a left-handed U-turn, put your right foot on the peg. If it's a right-handed U-turn for some reason, because you're not in America, put your left foot on the peg and use your right foot to kind of balance. So on this one, I'm using my left foot to balance my right foot up, okay? So I'm gonna get up a little bit further, and I'm gonna go ahead, once again, same thing, turn the handlebars. I'm gonna look left, no traffic, nobody's coming. I don't wanna get hit. I'm gonna put my right foot on the peg, and I'm gonna do the friction zone throttle control, and I'm going to go ahead and just use my left foot to balance. All right, so it's already better if you're doing that versus both feet. Hey, that's one less foot you're having to put down. There we go, we're positioned here. Now, same thing. Now, we're gonna be like, oh, I feel like I can put my feet up. Oh, very good, look at your riding. Very nice. Okay, same thing, squeeze the front brake, squeezing the clutch. Put at least one foot down or both feet down. Okay, there we go. Same thing, coming up to here. Oh, I feel pretty good. I can actually take off quicker now. I really want to get into second gear. Well, let's wait a little bit. All right, pull in the clutch, squeeze the front brake. There we go. Now, if you notice something, I reached for the rear brake. Since our feet are on the pegs, we can actually easily reach for that rear brake. So when it comes time to stop, when you're squeezing the front brake, gently tap the rear brake or gently press the rear brake too, so you can practice your rear braking. Because remember, front brake pressure is about 70 to 80% of your braking power, but what happened to that last 20 to 30%? It's right here. So you can do both so you can get 100% of your stopping power. But remember, this gives more, so you give this more than you give the rear brake. Rear brake is really good for slow speed maneuvers, so when we get to the parking lot, we'll talk about that more. All right, let's turn the handlebars to the left, put my right foot on the peg. Here we go. I already double checked for traffic. Oh, look, see, I'm kind of like wanting to balance a little bit. Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do a quick U-turn right here because I wanna show you guys something where you might run into some problems when you start putting your feet up. So I'm gonna do a quick U-turn. So pretend we're back over here, we've done it a couple times, and you're getting to a stuck point. And this is what I'm talking about here. So when I say turn the handlebars all the way left, I really want you to be able to make the turn like that. It's really hard to do that once you get your feet up because you start straightening it up accidentally for balance, okay? So let's just say we're doing this, and we're doing a left-handed U-turn, and I start straightening it up, I'm like, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, I'm not gonna make it because I'm not looking where I wanna go and I'm trying to balance. Now I'm stuck here. What do? Pull in the clutch, try your best to paddle walk it back. Once you get here, you go ahead and go. So you're basically doing a 3-point turn, and if you can't paddle walk it back, you might have to shut off the engine and push it with your hands, and then get back on, turn it back on, and then go. Okay, so we got to here. All right, so we're gonna stop, and now we're gonna get up to the next mailbox, not this one, but the one up here. I'm gonna put both my feet up. I feel pretty comfortable. I've done this, let's say 5 or 6 times. I'm like, I'm ready to now ride. Okay, well, we got one more step. We got one more step here. So we're coming up to here, applying the brakes. Here we go. Well, you're not really necessarily ready to ride if you're keeping one foot down, right? So now this third step of this exercise in this chapter is we're gonna put both feet up on these straightaways, but we're not gonna stop until we get to the ends. So I'm not gonna stop every time. I'm gonna stop at the very end, okay? So once again, we're gonna go ahead and turn the handlebars, and we're going to put one foot up, and we're gonna turn and turn and turn and turn and turn. But now we're just gonna keep going. Now we're just gonna keep going. All the way. All the way. Here we are. We're gonna apply the brakes, and we're gonna go ahead and turn all the way. All the way. Let's do it one more time. I didn't stop. Let's do it one more time. We're gonna stop at that last mailbox. We're gonna apply the brakes, pull in the clutch, apply a little bit of rear brake, and stop. All right, so let's just say, I'm gonna turn this off real quick. Let's just say you did that a couple times. So we had 3 exercises right there. That's pretty easy, but how do I make a right-handed turn? Bonus drill right here. So we're gonna do exactly this, where we just kind of went in circles without stopping really until towards the end. So you're gonna do that, like I said, about 5, 6 times. You feel comfortable, you're like, oh, this is easy peasy. Well, let's go ahead and increase the difficulty a little bit. We're gonna be doing figure 8s now, okay? This is gonna make it to where you're gonna have to pay attention to any traffic too. This is why it's really important to do this in a time when there's not many people out and about. So either early morning, a little bit in the evening, or whatever it is, during the middle of the day if you have a day off, or when people are at church on Sundays or something like that. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna come up to here, and we're gonna switch to the other side, and then make a right-handed turn, and then get back to the correct side of what we need to do. I'll show you what it looks like, okay? So I'm actually gonna turn around real quick. I'm gonna give this more room. All right, let's say I just finished the figure 8 on this side. We're gonna do it up here. So this is what it looks like from the camera perspective. So I'm gonna be riding, not a big deal. I'm gonna go ahead and do a head check. I'm gonna switch to the other side. And I'm gonna go ahead and pause. I'm gonna go ahead and brake right here, like I was earlier. And I'm gonna turn right, and I'm gonna do a right-handed U-turn. If you need to paddle walk this first one, not a big deal. Sometimes right-handed U-turns are harder. All right, so now we're all the way over here, but we need to get back on the correct side. So I'm gonna double check again, no cars. I'm gonna get to the correct side, and as soon as I can, I'm gonna pick up my feet and I make this easy little turn so I can go straight. There it is. So once again, this is what it's gonna look like now. So I'm gonna do a quick head check. I'm gonna turn to the other side. And if you want to, go ahead and try to make the turn without stopping. It might take you a little bit. You might have to paddle walk it a few times, but now we have to get back to this side. There it is. So once again, no traffic, no traffic. I'm gonna get to the other side, completely other side, so I can give myself all the room in the world to do this U-turn. So nice little right-handed U-turn. Double checking, no traffic. Get to the other side. And now we're ready to go. So I'm gonna stop right here because there's gonna be some problems that you might run into is the right-handed side, the right-handed turn. Sometimes for me, it's easier to go left because this handle, I can just grip this hand grip and it doesn't turn. When I do the right-hand side, which some of you might run into, is that you can grip this hand grip, but you accidentally turn it, which gives it throttle, and that's pretty scary. So if you accidentally give it too much throttle, what you can do, so I'm giving it a little too much, you can squeeze a little bit more of that clutch to balance that, okay? You can balance that extra throttle with that clutch. So it's gonna take some practice, and that's the whole point of this. So if you need to start off paddle walking on this first step, that's perfectly fine. So let's just say, hey, left-handed turn, I'm really good at just crossing the street. Okay, so I pick my feet up. But man, this right-handed part really gets me. So what I'm gonna do now is apply the brakes and stop. I'm gonna go ahead and put my left foot on the peg, and I'm gonna do what we did in the second part, where we're just doing one leg to balance. Okay, I'm getting some speed, I feel pretty good. I'm gonna put my foot up, but I still continue the turn until I get back onto the appropriate side. And now we're going over here, and then now we're gonna go ahead and switch to the other side. And I'm still a little uncomfortable making these right-handed turns. That's perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and stop. Let's put our left foot on the peg, and let's go ahead and turn the handlebars and give it a little bit and balance ourselves, pick our feet up, and then get going. The whole point is to get you to a point where you're able to do a head check, you're switching over, you see this over here, you're using friction zone and a little bit of throttle control, you're turning the handlebars. This is what I want it to look like at the end of this chapter. I want you to just be able to cruise. You're like, I want to get the second gear, but Dan said stay in first, so we're staying in first. So I'm just gonna keep doing this, and this is what I want it to look like before you start heading out into the neighborhood, which is the next chapter, okay? So we're slowing it down for the turn. We're doing the U-turn. Now, if you're like, oh no, I gotta do that, that's perfectly fine. You could still do that every now and then. We're gonna definitely make that better when we get to the parking lot, when we do the Smart Rider drills. We're switching over. And then we're doing a U-turn. All right. So let's say you've done that a couple times. You're like, man, this road is too small for me. Well, that's great. That's a good feeling. I want you to have that feeling that it's too small for you, because that means you're ready to graduate. And so always think about that. It's like, you know, the friction zone part, all right, it's too easy for me. Okay, then move to the next. Okay, now riding down up and down the street is too easy for me. Now we're gonna move into the next, which is gonna be riding in a neighborhood. So you keep doing that, but don't rush it. That's the whole point, is don't rush the process. Get to that boredom part and be like, okay, I'm gonna do 5 more. So every time you hit that boredom part, I'm gonna do 5 more, just to solidify that. And then don't move on to the next thing unless you're absolutely comfortable and you're not tired and you have hydration, you've eaten. Because sometimes when you take a day off, or you do it the next day, or do it the next week, it actually solidifies in your brain and your muscle memory. It's creating new synapses. So it's okay to take breaks. You don't have to rush it all in one go. But let's, if you're ready, let's go ahead and ride in the neighborhood. All right, so we're gonna be moving on to the next chapter, which is gonna be graduating from your little street that you got going on. We're gonna go out, okay? We're not gonna go on the main road. You saw that car just go by. We're not going on the main road. We're staying in the neighborhood. And what we're gonna be practicing here is emergency braking, swerving, shifting, and honestly, what I think should be an emergency skill, emergency acceleration. So we're gonna do some start and stopping, some swerving around manhole covers and stuff, some natural breaks in the road like that manhole cover. And once again, hopefully there's no traffic. So pick a time where there's less traffic or no traffic, and have some fun. So that's the main thing here, is have some fun. If you get a little too exhausted or too nervous, take a break. But what we have to do is now do a U-turn, because this is a dead-end street, so we can go ahead and get out into the main road. Well, main neighborhood part. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get back to the other side. Let's go ahead and do a little practice of that U-turn. So here we go, we're switching to the other side. I'm sorry, that figure 8, and we're gonna go ahead and do a nice little figure 8, nice and easy. Use the whole road if you need to. And here we go. A little nerve-wracking. So now what you have to do is actually pay attention to signs. If it's a stop sign, stop, okay? Max 25 in a neighborhood in the United States for the most part, okay? So if it's 15, you're doing 15. If it's 25, you're doing 25. So I'm actually going to slow down and stop, okay? And then look both ways. I want you guys to see something here real quick. This is a line of sight problem. So you're supposed to stop or slow down before the sign, but I can't see over this wall. Who's coming? I can't really see over that bush who's coming. So stop here, practice your braking. Go ahead and practice your friction zone and throttle control, paddle walk it a little bit. You notice how I can start seeing, and now I can see, now I can see. Now I'm gonna do a left-handed turn. So it's kind of like the left-handed U-turn, but instead of turning all the way around, you're doing half the U-turn, which is a left-hand turn. See, we got a car. So a left-handed U-turn is 2 left-handed 90-degree turns. So we're just gonna do 1 90-degree turn. So same thing, if you need to paddle walk, that's perfectly fine. Goal is to keep our feet up. So there we go, we got our feet up. All right, so we have a stop sign up ahead. I can see it way over there. So I'm just kind of cruising. Go ahead and hang out in first for a little bit. have some fun for the first couple minutes, just kind of cruising. Okay, so you hear the engine RPMs, get up. When you start hearing the engine RPMs really climb up, especially in first gear, it's about time to go into second gear, but we're gonna hang out at about 12 miles an hour, 11 miles an hour in first gear for just a little bit, because I want to practice real quick just riding with my feet up. I feel good, but we have a stop sign coming up. Okay, so once again, we have to watch for traffic and we have to pay attention to signage. So instead of mailboxes and driveways, it is signs that we're paying attention. These are our start and stop points. So we're gonna go ahead and stop. And once again, I was supposed to stop behind the stop sign, but I can't see, so it's just a natural instinct for me to kind of creep up a little bit. And now I can see. Okay, this looks like it's a bigger artery road. Now, if you're like, I could go right now if I was in my car, but that truck, especially on my motorcycle, scares me. Just go ahead and wait. There's no real traffic. Wait for him. Just go ahead and wait. Okay, he's making a right-handed turn. Very good. A good option here that you should be doing is using your turn signals, because we're turning left. So we're gonna go ahead and make our way. Now, that's a secondary control we never really went over. So you have to turn it left to go left, and you notice how it's not turning off when I'm going straight? You have to push it in to turn it off, okay? So, hey, it's a no outlet. I like that idea, so I'm gonna turn left. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna maintain. It's like, oh, there's gravel. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and avoid that gravel, especially if there's no cars, and then I'm gonna get back into my lane. That is like the miniature of miniature swerves that you just did right there, if there's a little bit of gravel. So good job on that. You're avoiding road surface hazards in the middle of a turn, so that's really important. All right, so we're kind of cruising. We have a dead-end street, so a big cul-de-sac, thankfully, but if not, you already know how to do a U-turn in the middle of the road. But I'm gonna use the cul-de-sac, the whole cul-de-sac, and wave at everybody so that they understand that you are training. So we're gonna turn, 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 turn. I definitely look like a new rider, just kind of cruising. All right, so we're back here. So we're gonna go ahead and stop at the stop sign. I'm still cruising. Oh, I didn't turn off my turn signal. You see that? Yoink, turn it off. You have to push it in, okay? So we're coming up to the stop sign. And now we got pretty comfortable with, you know, just riding in first gear. But what do we do when we want to shift gears? Okay, we're doing some braking right now. Okay, we're gonna turn left. We're gonna go ahead and see what's around this corner. Nothing, nothing. So let's go ahead and turn left. There we are. Turn off the signal by pushing it in. Now, I don't feel comfortable riding in first gear on this bigger road because everyone's going 25. I don't want to, you know, slow anybody down and impede traffic because I want to go in the flow of traffic. So what I'm going to do, because I feel a little still uncomfortable with shifting, is that I'm going to turn into this no outlet. So I'm going to turn right, turn signal, turn right. I'm going to try to avoid this gravel, but let's say I can't. So I'm going to go ahead and straighten up the handlebars, go over it, and then now continue my turn. Okay. So we're going to do a U-turn, turn off my blinker. We're going to do a U-turn up here, let's say where the shadow is. Okay, so once again, no traffic, no traffic. Do a nice little U-turn. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn left at the stop sign, and it's that bigger road. So I'm gonna put it in neutral real quick. So I stuck my toe underneath and clicked it up half a click. So to get into first gear, you pull in the clutch, you press down once, and now we're in first. Now, how do we get into second? Okay, so how do we get into second? What I'm gonna do is now get underneath it and click it up once. Now, like, I'm pulling it still, and it's not climbing second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. I pulled it up once. I can pull it up again once, and it's in third gear. I can pull it up again, and now it's trying to find the gear. It is fourth gear. Pull it up again, and now it's in fifth gear. I can pull it up again, and now it's in sixth gear. But I can't just take off in sixth gear. First gear and second gear, yeah. Third gear, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult. So we're gonna start off in first gear. So one click, one click, one click, one click. We're in second, one more click. Oh, I did a half click down, so it's neutral. So one more click, first gear. So we're gonna take off and we're going to shift on the main road. So how do we do that? Okay, so there's a whole process to it. Okay, so what we're doing is we're pulling in the clutch Actually, let's go ahead and get into neutral. Let's pretend we're riding. We're riding, okay? And it's time to shift. So what do? So we have the throttle going because we're riding, right? What we're gonna do is we're gonna roll off the throttle. We're gonna pull in the clutch, and our feet are on the pegs. So then what we're gonna do is get underneath and shift it into second gear, and then we're gonna slowly, we're not slowly, but we're gonna release it into friction zone because we know where that is now, and then give it throttle at the same time while we're moving. So it's that friction zone, you know, back and forth that we had to start off with. It's the same thing when you're moving to get into second, into third, and then into first, or into second, and back into first and whatnot. So let's get ourselves into first gear. So we're gonna go ahead and friction zone, throttle control. Just watch this video real quick before you head out. Don't watch this while you're riding. That wouldn't be good. I'm just kind of giving you guys the tips of what you need to do to practice in the neighborhood. So we got our turn signal, squeeze the clutch, squeeze the front brake, apply a little bit of rear brake, and we're turning left, okay? So let's try to pick our feet up. There we go. So now, remember when I said when we get to like 12 miles an hour, the engine RPM starts to climb like this? Now's the time to roll off the throttle, pull in the clutch, shift up, friction zone, a little bit of throttle, and there it is. It's gonna sound like this. I'm gonna get really slow. It's gonna sound like this when you first start it. Like it's chugging. That just means that you need to give a little bit more throttle and less clutch to get going because you went down a little bit too slow. That's not a big deal. So now we're in second gear. So we can get up to a little bit of speed. Let's say we get to 20. Let's try 20. Hey, that feels good. I like 20. Hey, now you're riding in a neighborhood, a little bit 5 under the speed limit. Not a big deal though, because we're practicing. So I'm gonna turn right. And you can make turns in second gear, like these kinds of turns. Okay, you don't have to go to first. You can make them in second gear. The only time you really want to be in first gear is when you come to a stop. So you put it down into first gear because you're completely stopped, or when you're starting the bike up, okay? So coming to a stop, put it down to first. When you are taking off from a stop, you're obviously in first. So you can make U-turns in second gear also. It's a little bit faster though, so if you're not comfortable with that, that's perfectly fine. But if you notice I'm going 8 miles an hour in second gear, it's starting to chug. Watch, it's starting to chug a little bit. But this is like what it's gonna do in second gear. It's just gonna keep going. I don't have to give it throttle, but I want to. See how it's chugging? Let's go ahead and bring it back down to 8 before we hit the stop sign. Now hear it chug. That's perfectly fine. That just means that you're going a little bit too slow for the gear that you're in. You can give it a little bit of throttle or downshift, so pulling the clutch, squeeze the front brake, downshift into first gear, and now we're in first gear. Don't let go of the clutch because we're still in gear. All right. Oh, real good example right there. I love that. I love when the experience and things happen just naturally. So you're coming up to the stop sign. I put my foot down, and I put my foot down on this gravel, and it slid. So when you're coming up to a stop sign, this is great. I love that this happened. So you're coming up to a stop sign, and you see that gravel. If you put your tire right next to it, that means your right foot is going to go on it. So if you need to, stay away from it. So you're coming up to here, you saw the gravel ahead of time. Now when you put your foot down, it's on asphalt. So watch out for that stuff when you put your foot down. It could be oil, it could be gravel, it could be rocks or whatever it is. Try your best not to, but if you do have to, because it's just all over the place, put your foot straight down, not out to the sides, straight down. All right, I love that happened. All right, we're gonna make a left-handed turn and we're gonna shift into second gear again. This is gonna be a longer chapter, but this is very important because this is the first time you're actually riding. Okay, see how I'm getting up to speed? Roll off the throttle, pull in the clutch, upshift, look forward, friction zone, a little bit of throttle. Now I'm looking down at everything. That's what you're gonna be doing. So you have to make sure you're going straight and there's no traffic. You're gonna get to a point where you're riding, so I'm in first gear right now, and you're just looking forward, and it's a quick shift. Let's get a little bit of speed so I can show you. So I'm riding, okay, and then with the foot up. All right. Now I don't want you right now making U-turns in the middle of this busier part of the street. I'd rather you make U-turns on these exits of the street. Now, you don't have to make the U-turns right away. So if you have like an area where you're turning, so I'm turning in second gear, you don't have to do it like now. You can do it up here and treat every single pull off as your U-turn area. So even right here, I'm gonna go ahead and do U-turn up in here where it's less traffic. And I'll do it right here where I'm in the middle, away from corners. So nobody's coming, nobody's coming. Nice little U-turn. And I'm gonna do that constantly. I'm just gonna enjoy the ride. I'm coming up to this area. I want to practice my stopping, put it into first gear. There's a car coming. I put my feet down, first gear, and I'm gonna go ahead and get going. Nice little turn, friction zone throttle control. We have another stop sign up ahead. I'm in first gear. Might as well just stay in first gear because I have a stop sign. I'm gonna put it back in first gear anyways. Roll off the throttle, get ready to apply the brakes, pull in the clutch, and here we are. Okay? So I'm gonna go downhill real quick. This is another opportunity to show you, is that when you're going downhill, you're gonna pick up speed naturally because you're going downhill. So shift in the second. So I don't have to give it throttle going downhill. I can just kind of let go or give it less throttle, and I'm still going 16. You notice when I had my hand off on a straight, like a regular road, it was good. It went down to 8. Now we're getting to the bottom, now it's slowing down. So if I really wanted to maintain speed, the goal is to maintain the speed, not maintain throttle hand, maintain my speed, so your throttle hand has to adjust. So we're kind of cruising, nice little corner. I love this. Don't go too fast on your first couple corners. Excuse me. All right, so we have a stop all the way. So once again, you got to pay attention to signage, okay? So now we're gonna go ahead and go up the hill, and you're gonna realize that in order to maintain your speed, you have to give it a little more throttle, okay? So here we go, we're gonna turn left, nobody coming, I can take my time, this is great. So first gear, turn signal, I'm gonna go ahead and pick my feet up, and now I'm here. And if you have to, and you're like, oh man, I can't shift uphill, that's fine, just keep it in first. But you're gonna have to give it a little bit more, and engine RPMs are gonna climb a little bit. But you can still make it up. You can still make it up in first. Just kind of cruising. And now that it's flat, guess what I'm gonna do? Shift into second. I'm gonna turn signal left, because I'm gonna go left. I don't even know what roads I'm going down. I'm just riding. And that's kind of part of the deal. There's no structure in terms of this is the road you have to take. We're practicing turn signals, we're practicing shifting, we're practicing turning, we're practicing going down and uphill. Now, because we just finished shifting, how do we practice mercy braking, mercy swerving, mercy acceleration? Okay, so it's downshift to first. Look both ways, turn signal to the right. I don't see any traffic. I'm gonna make my turn. Now, mercy acceleration, I'm getting up to here, and I'm like, I'm going way too slow for traffic, 25 miles an hour. Somebody could be speeding around the corner. So hands up, hands on the handlebars, look straight, give it throttle. Roll off the throttle. We're still in first gear. Give it some throttle, roll off the throttle. We got a turn coming up, so I'm not gonna give it too much throttle, so I'm gonna take this opportunity to go into second. And now we have another straightaway coming up ahead. Let's say we're going a little too slow, we just pull down to the road and there's a car coming now all of a sudden. You're like, oh crap. Give it some throttle. And then get up to speed as quickly and safely as possible. So we're gonna turn right here. Once you get up to speed, roll off the throttle. They should not be going faster than the speed limit. Some people go 5, 10 miles an hour over, that's perfectly fine. Hopefully they slow down. But don't feel like you need to be pushed out. We're practicing emergency acceleration. And don't accelerate to, hey, I'm going 50 now. No, accelerate to the speed limit and then get your hand perfect to where now you're going the speed limit. Remember, we're maintaining speed, not maintaining throttle hand. Okay, so once again, we're coming up to here. Emergency acceleration. Now what do we do though if we're like accelerating and we're like, oh crap. Same thing with regular braking. Stop sign. Pull in the clutch, squeeze, and we're starting to slow down. You can squeeze more and more and more into a stop. So you can take off in second gear. It's just a little bit harder with the friction zone throttle control. And I remember that gravel. So now there's no traffic. What are you doing, buddy? You're not coming in? Okay. No traffic. We're going to practice emergency acceleration. And then we're going to go into this neighborhood, this little offshoot, and we're going to practice emergency braking. So turn signal left. We're going to go in. I'm still in first gear. And then when I'm straight to practice, second gear. Okay, so emergency acceleration, 25, squeezing the clutch, apply front and rear brake a little bit. You see how I'm starting to slow down? So this part right here where I'm starting to slow down, I want you to remember that. Starting to slow down, squeeze more. You're gonna feel the weight start going to the front, and you can squeeze more. And see how cars will just kind of go around you? That's a neighborhood. They just want to get home. They're not going to be D-bags about it. So we're coming up to here, and I'm going to go ahead and do a U-turn. No traffic. Oh, put my foot down. Not a big deal. You're still practicing. So we're coming up to here, shift into second. And now that you've been shifting into second pretty well, you can stay in second in a neighborhood. It's when you get out on the main roads and it gets to 35, 45, 55, 65, 75, all that stuff. That's when you start going into the other gears. It's the same process. You're just going to 3 to 4 to 5. All right, so pulling the clutch, squeeze the front brake. I'm starting to slow down. I can squeeze more now. Once I start slowing down a little bit, I can squeeze a little bit more quickly. Now I want to go ahead and point out real quick, there's nobody coming, is that think of squeezing the front brake as squeezing an orange. You have your glass of juice right here, and you have a half an orange slice. If you just smash it, you're going to get orange juice everywhere. So when you squeeze it, a little bit of orange juice comes out, and then no more orange juice comes out. So you want to squeeze more and more. So firmly, slowly, and then at the end, it's all the power at the end. So that's what you're doing with the front brake, is you're squeezing a little bit to get some juice, squeezing more, some more juice, which is going to be stopping power. And then when you start really slowing down, you feel that weight on that front tire and that traction, you're starting to lean forward a little bit. You can squeeze more all the way. Okay, so let's go ahead and start it back up. Let's get into the main road, looking both ways. Turn signal, nobody coming. I have plenty of time. This is why I like the neighborhood. So we're coming over here. We're going to shift in a second. Emergency accelerate. Roll off the throttle. So now engine braking is happening. So what's happening is that when you gave it throttle, the engine RPMs go boom, 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 really fast. And then when you let go of the throttle, the engine RPMs go boom, 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 really like slower. And so what's that doing is that it's slowing the engine down. So you don't always have to hit the brakes. You can roll off the throttle, it's going to slow you down. And then if you really need to stop, you can apply the brakes. So it's another way to save brakes if you really want to, but honestly, brakes are cheap and easy to replace. So we're going to turn, watch out for gravel. Turn off the turn signal. And now that I see the straightaway, which was that shadow part, I'm going to go ahead and look. Nobody's coming. Nice little U-turn. So I want you to go in and out, practice your U-turns on these little side streets. Go on to the little main area to practice your emergency acceleration. And here you can even practice your emergency braking. So apply the brakes, more until you stop. Sometimes you need to slow down really fast so you can make a swerve, which is what we're going to talk about next. So one more time though, emergency acceleration, straighten up the handlebars, squeeze, more. Very good. So now we're going to talk about emergency swerving. So we're going to pretend that this is not a hill. I'm going to do a U-turn down there, and we're going to use these manhole covers as our cones to swerve around, or any like discoloration in the road as our cones to swerve around. So we're going to turn around up here, but hey, there's one coming up, so we're going to pretend right now. All right, so I have this manhole cover in front of me. Oh, I got to swerve. So what we're doing is just turning our handlebars back, okay? So what you've been naturally doing when it came to turning without the stop sign was counter steering. Now you're naturally doing it because that's what you do on a bicycle. So I'm going to do a U-turn up here, I don't have any traffic in my mirrors. Nobody's coming, nobody's going around. I'm gonna go ahead and do a U-turn. So what you were doing naturally was counter steering. So if I push to turn left, I push the handlebars, it's gonna turn left. If I push my handlebars to the right, it's gonna turn right. So that's counter steering. You're naturally doing that by doing this with your hands. Okay, so I shouldn't have to explain that. It's just coming naturally to you, right? All right, so that's what we're doing when it comes to swerve. So we see this manhole cover, I'm pushing and I'm pushing to get back into my lane, okay? So once again, I'm gonna now go left because I don't want to hit the car, so I'm gonna push and push. And when I say push, I mean you're pushing that way, you're pushing that way. You're not pushing down, you're not pushing down. Now that works, pushing down, but it takes a little bit more effort to do that. So watch, I'm gonna push it down on the left hand. I'm gonna try to maintain throttle with this hand. I'm pushing down. It takes much more pressure, and it's a little bit harder. So if I just push this way, you see how, oh, it barely, I could do one finger. It wants to turn. So on a normal turn, that's what you're doing, is you're pushing gently, very gently with your hands to make that turn. I'm not doing it, I'm just maintaining throttle on the right hand. If I had cruise control, I wish I could show you that. So same thing. So now with the right hand, I'm just pushing that way, and it's turning right. So when you come to a swerve, you're pushing and pushing. You're pushing and pushing, okay? So I'm just gonna do a quick U-turn here so I can show you. We're gonna go up and down the street. So there's a manhole cover right up here, okay? So I'm gonna push left. See, that's what it looks like when you're in second gear sometimes. So I'm gonna push left, I'm gonna push right. Okay, so I push left to get out of the way, but if I kept pushing left, I'm gonna keep going left. So in a swerve, you push left, and then you push right after you avoid the obstacle so you can get back into your lane. Okay, you could do that in a turn, so like I'm already turning, and then I have to push even more, or I have to push right, and then I have to get back into the turn. That's when it gets scary doing swerves and curves. We're not there yet. We're doing swerves in a neighborhood. So here's another manhole cover. I'm gonna swerve left, push, push, but now I'm going straight, so I have to continue my turn by pushing left, okay? So that's emergency swerve. Now that's just the basic skill. So what I want you to be doing when you're riding is that we're coming up to here. Hey, there's some manhole covers. All right, I'm just chilling, I'm having a good time riding in second gear, going 25. All right, so I'm pushing. Now I'm going around all these things. Like now the goal is to not even touch one. We got a car, so stay on our side. So I don't want to touch this manhole cover because it's in my path of travel. So I'm just gonna go ahead and have some fun. Boom, boom, yeah, yeah. And that's kind of like the straight line weave that we're gonna be doing in the test. The straight line weave is a little bit more direct steering. That's when we're getting to a parking lot. But it's the same concept. We're just having fun. We're dancing with the bike. We're having fun with the bike. So see, like, yeah, I might accidentally do that. Oh man, but I have my clutch in, so I'm not going anywhere. So friction zone, throttle control, and turn. All right, so what we went over so far is shifting in the second gear, so practice that. We practice emergency acceleration, emergency braking. Now we're in first gear because we're stopped. I'm gonna go ahead and friction zone, emergency acceleration, right off the start. Yeah, shift, all right, very good. And now we're gonna do emergency swerving. Hey, there's a manhole cover, push, push. And I want you to just ride around and have fun in the neighborhood doing this. So now you're going in and out of these little like cross streets. You're on the main road for the fun swerves, emergency accelerations. And then when it comes to turning, slow it down, make the turn into these like easy little roads where there's like less traffic because people are getting to their house. And don't do U-turns in these corners because you can't see. Do U-turns when you can see. So I'm looking, nobody's coming. Friction zone, nice easy turn. Practice your left-handed U-turns, guys. That's on the test. The swerve's on the test, the emergency braking's on the test, the straight line weave is on the test, and this part is on the test, the turn from a stop. So turn those handlebars, just like we're doing that original U-turn. Oh, we got a car? Nope. Okay, so there we go, friction zone. There it is. Oh, we're in the main road. Acceleration, shift. Yeah, we're riding. Very good. All right, so I'm gonna pull up here. I'm gonna practice my emergency braking. Quick stop. Now I'm in second gear. It's like, oh, I not exactly where I wanna be. You can shut it off. Side stand down, second gear still, not a big deal. And let's say you're not where you wanna be. So like, I'm kind of far away. Okay, another little tip. Second gear still, so you can put it into neutral if you want. But if you're kind of getting stuck, it's like, I really just need to get out of the way. So let's say I'm in second gear. So you can pull in the clutch, put your hand on the seat right here, or like a saddlebag or something, or even up here too, because we're off. But make sure you pull in the clutch because the bike won't move unless it's the clutch is in because you're in second gear. It'll move if it's in neutral. So I'm kind of just walking it like a bicycle. Now, before I set it down, I'm going to go ahead and look. Yep, I have my side stand down. Very good. All right, so that is your practice in the neighborhood. Do that for a while. Have fun. Maybe it's going to be a couple weeks when you're doing that, but that's perfectly fine. You're just kind of cruising up and down the street. Because once you go into the road itself, that's when it gets a little scary, and that's why I want you to get gear. We'll talk about that. But I want you to be able to get gear before you actually head out into the main road. This is the minimum for riding in a neighborhood. Once you get out there with cars, it gets scarier, more risk, more mistakes could be happening. So having full gear, at least a jacket. So if minimum on the street, get a jacket and wearing this. Highly recommend pants and boots also. Once we get out there, there's traffic to watch out, more signs, just more everything. Because the next thing that we want to do is be able to get into a parking lot so we can practice for our endorsement or our motorcycle license test and practice all those different things. So we'll jump into like smart rider drills to get you really good with that U-turn, figure eights and whatnot. And we'll practice a little bit more, okay? But that's what you do here. Have some fun, ride around, and then park it back at your house. And if you feel like, I know, don't leave yet. Once you feel like, hey, I did this, and then it's like you start off in your street, and you're like, man, my friction zone sucks right now. Well, go back. Go back and practice your friction zone a little bit, and then it'll come right back to you, and you'll be like, okay, cool, now I can get back on the road. Don't feel discouraged if you regress a little bit. Just practice that part where you regress to get yourself back up. Don't feel like a failure. But with that said, hope you guys ride safe in the neighborhood, have some fun, and I'll see you guys on the next chapter.